Weddings-ish, 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 with Jove.
This episode is presented by Friar Tucks. For over 50 years, they've been styling life's biggest moments, from weddings to proms and more. Whether you're looking to buy or rent, Friar Tucks has the perfect suit or tuxedo for your event. Visit friartux.com to get started. Weddings-ish is presented by Lovebird, a better way for engaged couples to communicate with their wedding guests. Make an exquisite first impression and manage every touch point in one place. Share your proposal story on Lovebird for a chance to win a free honeymoon. Learn more at lovebird.com/weddingsish.
Weddings-ish.
Welcome to a special episode of Weddings-ish with Jove. Today we're bringing you expert advice from wedding pros and newlyweds to help make your big day perfectly you. Hear from legendary wedding planner Mindy Weiss, Real Housewives of Miami expert Guerdy Abraira, florist Maurice Harris, cake designer Aimee France, recently married chef Stephanie Nass, designer Haley Page, and bridal icon Panina Tournay. They'll share tips on managing your budget, adding personal touches, and knowing when to say no. You won't want to miss this jam-packed episode of inspiration and advice. The cash bar, I'm fine. I feel like that's the make or break for me when I get invited to a wedding.
People came for me apparently on Bravo, the Bravo fans, because at Alexia's yacht party, the waiters were, I guess, giving carte blanche to put freaking cups on the thing, and I'm mortified. I'm like, oh, that's a no-no.
Yeah.
The waiters get I was gonna say tuition. The waiters get gratuity via the gratuity pool. So usually 18%, 22% range.
These days, 25 I'm seeing
in New York. And you get the range, probably California is like 30%.
Easy now.
From 22 to 30%, that gets distributed amongst the staff. Yeah. So they're already taken care of because it's a hosted event. This is not a, have your way bar.
Correct.
So no cash tip jar ever at a wedding.
Yes.
Unless if it's a cash bar, then yes, they will allow you to obviously tip the people as you want. But aside from that, no.
Any other make or breaks for you when it comes to weddings? Some no-nos for Guerdy?
I mean, listen, if you're going to have it outside, please don't have it in hurricane season, hot weather, hot as monkey's balls. Let's not do that. Like, we want to be able to be, like, beautiful and represent and show up for you and make it through the night without sweating.
Yes.
We want to be nice and comfortable. So AC, if you're indoors, or don't have a wedding outside on the beach on the August 31st in Miami Beach.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's not do that.
Just not
pick the season and actually wear the proper attire to the season of your wedding.
Yeah.
So please don't wear strapless and whatever you're going to do with a wedding that's happening in
on the sand.
In December 31st, in the middle of a snowstorm. Like pick an attire and pick a season to match it.
Yes.
Let's do that.
Do you have a favorite wedding venue?
Oh my God, no.
If you could be married again, I'm not saying you need to redo it. Anywhere in the world, money was no object.
Oh my goodness.
Where would you get married? Remarried? Would it be
Russell
Miami?
loves Colorado a lot.
Okay.
Not in Miami.
Not in Miami. Okay. New York?
No, it would be, not New York. Never
Okay.
New York, no. It can't be a city. It's got to be somewhere very calm.
Okay.
Somewhere cool.
Like Aspen? Little Nell?
I don't know. We don't know.
Boulder?
This is a hard question. Next question.
I know. It's a hard question.
But I wanted to celebrate my 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
Now we're on 21 because obviously I went through my cancer journey. So now I'm like, I want to celebrate. So I literally am thinking in my head, like if I could, the two of us and the kids do something so special and warm, like 10 people, and then just do some amazing family photos. I do a photo shoot, 6 outfit changes.
100%.
And dinner for 10.
Wait, you absolutely should be doing
do
this.
it.
You have to celebrate. I mean, now you have a new outlook on life that's just like, I have a couple of questions from fans. This is Erin Ribby.
Okay.
Biggest mistake people make while working in the wedding industry. A money-saving tip for engaged couples. So she had 2 questions in one.
So first one is?
Biggest mistake people make while working in the wedding industry.
While working in the industry is not being selfish. I feel like I think maybe I'm trying to make sense of how I got cancer, what could have been due to, and I never really asked why, but if I could pinpoint quickly, I would say, the stress level. And I never put a limit to my success. Here's what it is. I didn't know when am I on top? When did I reach the top?
What is the
Every
top?
day was faster, stronger, better. Oh my God, you did this yesterday. Wait till they see this one today. And then it's kind of like, wait, but if there's no ceiling, then what am I doing?
What am I doing?
I'm always raising it.
Yeah.
So then you're never gonna stop, and the stress comes from that.
Yeah.
So and you internalize it. So definitely be selfish and take care of yourself.
Okay.
Second question.
Second question was a money-saving tip for engaged couples.
Ooh, money-saving tip for engaged couples. Slice that guest list. I think a lot of people are doing it to wait till she comes to my wedding and it's gonna be better than hers. Do you really like her? Do you even care about her? Like, please don't invite people who don't belong in the wedding.
Yeah.
So if you really look at your guest list, I can guarantee you can cut it in probably half, if not take 20 people off that list, and that will save you a lot of money.
Yeah, and a lot of stress.
Yes.
And the last question from Alexa, how do you balance your intense work life and your sweet family life?
Well, now more than ever, I'm doing a great job at it. I am releasing what no longer serves me, is what I like to say. And I literally make it count. So, I'm not trying to impress anybody for what is what I like to say. And I just keep it I like to kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. I want to now simplify everything I do. And I have been doing a great job at it, I would say. Right, Russell?
And then when did you get your first wedding cake commission?
I think September of 2022.
Okay.
I actually really vividly remember this day because my friend and I had to Uber it to Flatbush. And I was in I never delivered a cake that big.
Okay.
I'm that, and honestly, that's before I knew about baking math as well as I do now, having to weigh everything so it's actually structurally
sound.
Yeah.
And the poles that you have to put in the cake.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
all the things.
So I'm in the Uber going to Flatbush. I've never been to Flatbush before, holding this thing. My friend's in there. I'm freaking out. Trying to my arms were sore the next day from
Michelle
grasping
Obama arms.
it, literally.
Oh my gosh.
But it made it, and the people ended up liking it.
They loved it.
Yeah, and I got to go to Flatbush.
So
it was a fun day.
I mean, there you go. And that was So that was just a little over a year ago.
Yeah. I might have the timing wrong on that. It might be a little earlier, but
still, that's amazing.
Thank you.
And then from there, it just sort of organically grew because you don't advertise yourself as a wedding vendor. You don't have and that's not a good or bad thing. You don't have the energy of I'm in weddings and I make your dreams come true. And come taste a million cakes and we'll design your cake together. It's sort of a little bit of a very different energy, which I respect about you.
Thank you.
Because it's not what I'm used to, I guess, as a wedding professional. You're sort of this is what I make, take it or leave it.
That's kind of interesting hearing your perspective
My
about
take on
that
it?
versus what I'm doing. Because, I'm so used to people just not, I don't know, they just understand it. But hearing it from I guess I don't realize how differently I run my business versus probably other wedding cake businesses.
Yeah.
So.
Well, because you didn't come up in the wedding cake world. I
Yeah.
feel some people apprentice with a cake maker and then they start their own company, or they go to pastry school and then they work you know what I mean? And there's no right way to do anything. But I wondered if that was intentional or if it was just sort of
no,
this is how I'm running my business because this is how I think this is how I want to do it. In the industry, it's an industry of yes. Someone's getting married and vendors are okay, that's weird. I'll make it happen, or whatever you want. There's kind of this bridezilla complex, which I don't love. I think we've created it, movies, TV, J-Lo, that a bride can get whatever she wants. You know what I mean? But when I messaged you, you were no, it's not in season. Period. You know what I mean? There was no let me see what I could do, or oh, let me find out if there's frozen. I don't know. I'm not a baker. It was just no. And in many ways, I was at first I was wait a minute. Wow. Who is she? What is going on?
I'm obsessed with hearing this perspective.
Yeah, I thought you would enjoy it.
100%.
And then I sort of went and did a 180 and I was wait a minute. I love that you just said, that's not what I do. If you want that, maybe someone else should do that for you. And I think in our industry, we're people pleasers who are just trying to make everybody happy, and you make people happy, but in the world that makes you happy. And I think that like, then I went from being like, wow, that's so odd to like, I'm jealous that she has boundaries almost in a way that many of us, I think, don't have. You know, like when a client wants something, you're like, I'm going to make all your dreams come true. And I really sort of loved that that's your approach. You're like, this is how I do it. This is what I offer. And, you know, you communicate very clearly in terms of what you make and what you don't make. Which I love. And I guess in the world of weddings, is that something you want to do more of? Or you also sell mini cakes almost every week. Is that sort of like when you think of your dream business you're building, like what are the buckets that you want to continue to expand in and do?
I love doing wedding cakes. They're always a little stressful.
Yeah.
But because, you know, like you said, the Bridezilla thing, like, and I always
and
think about,
they're also out there.
But like a wedding cake, like when you think about a wedding, the wedding cake is such like a pinnacle moment.
Yes. Everyone is watching you slice this cake.
Exactly. So that's a lot of pressure on the
On
baker.
you.
And I think a lot of people do not think about that.
No,
like,
they don't.
I'm not kidding. Sometimes when I have a wedding cake in the fridge, like I have stress dreams. And like I'll wake up in the middle of the night.
And check the fridge.
And like check the fridge. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, is like it okay? But no, I will like not sleep for like many days.
Because you care deeply about the cake.
No, I seriously do.
A stress dream. I've had many. A wet stress dream. Like I wake up sweaty and like it's not even nothing could have gone wrong because nothing had happened yet, but I'm there with you. The stress dreams are real in this industry. But there's something really beautiful about that. And I think there's a renaissance of like what's old is becoming new again.
Absolutely.
In weddings. Like the trends, like the 80s are back. 70s, 80s in like a big way.
Big way.
I kind of love that.
Yeah, round tables.
Yes.
Right?
Who knew?
Like, who knew?
Yes. Old school chairs. I'm like, what's happening right now? Like
who knew
chair covers.
Chivaris would be chic again. Oh my goodness.
I totally agree.
It's so funny if I post a picture that has Chivaris in it. Literally, the comments are Chivaris? Question mark? Really?
Yes.
I go, yeah, really.
You're like, they're coming back.
They're there.
People love them. They're classic.
Yes.
And I think that's an interesting thing. I think for young wedding planners in the industry or anyone, there's this desire to work with celebrities. But I feel like it can go one of two ways. Like it can be your circle of people that becomes your career, or it can be the kiss of death because then the people who are your clients think they cannot afford you.
100%.
Right?
You were right on. Or they think I don't have time for them. Or that I'm going to drop them if a bigger name comes
along.
Which would never happen.
No.
And I say to them, I go, I'm somewhat of a normal person.
Yeah.
My office can do it.
Yeah.
And if not, I'm very meant to be.
Yeah.
I'm a meant to be person.
Yeah, if it happens, it was meant to be.
Exactly.
If not.
So proud of our industry.
It's wild what's happening.
God. It's so beautiful.
It's
so
inspiring to see, I think, for all couples that finally a wedding doesn't have to look like this or be like this.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it can be whatever you want. I say all the time, as long as there's food and drink, everything else is flexible.
Yes.
And they're like, you don't really mean that. And I'm like, I do.
Oh.
If you want to walk into the ceremony or you want to have dinner, then it doesn't matter.
As long as it's there.
Yes. As long as it's there and as long as the people in the room love you and support you. Like what you do on your wedding day has no bearing on the success of your marriage.
Yes. And we are only responsible for the wedding day, not the marriage. I want people to know. People always say to me, oh my God, are you upset they got divorced? Of course I'm upset.
Yes,
I'm a normal person.
Of course, you're
but
sad.
I wasn't
has
in
nothing
their bed.
to do with me.
I wasn't giving
Correct.
them therapy.
Correct.
I just
Correct.
It's just that they stand out, but there's so many people
There's so many
who
that
don't
do.
make it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you find though, I mean, the wedding planner therapy stereotype is very real.
Oh my God.
Like
It
we are in the
is.
middle of some conversations that sometimes I've excused myself now. It's a new thing.
Yes.
I say, I'm going to use the restroom while you finish this conversation.
Right. No, I stay right in it.
Oh, you want it all?
Oh my God.
You want to hear it all?
I think I could have been a therapist.
Yes.
I think
you have the energy of a therapist. I'd lay on a couch
Yes.
and talk to you for an hour.
I think I could, and I do listen
Yeah.
because it's real and there is pain or there's happiness, whatever it is. You know, I like to hear the story because I like to bring it in. And we do get a lot of Pinterest.
I'm
you know,
sure.
It's nice to start from there.
Yes.
Because then I know
Inspiration.
I know what I'm in for.
Yeah.
I know from one flower.
Yes.
I know.
How do you politely tell someone, we're not going to do this? Like, how do you guide them? Like, I want this wedding, whether you did it or someone else did it. Because now you kind of know who did these weddings. You know what I mean? Like, there are signatures of I could look at Instagram without even seeing it. I'm like, that's a so-and-so wedding. That's a so-and-so wedding.
Yes.
But how do you gently guide that or strongly guide that person to say, great, but no?
Yes. I don't say no. I say, oh my God, I've done that before. It didn't work. But if we do it this way, it could be really cool.
Yeah.
And obviously I'll do it that way, but I'm telling you, I did it and it didn't work.
Yeah.
And I think it's a process. When they first show me, I'm all in.
Of course.
And
You're supportive.
slowly, until we get to the setup, you know, and they see that.
The mock-up, yeah.
Yeah. And they see that it's kind of, maybe that wasn't what I want.
Yep. And are you prepared with like option A or B or but here's.
Always.
Yeah. Where you
because
kind of
I don't
want
to
go.
leave a meeting. There have been meetings where you're kind of like, I'm going to get a call. I'm going to get a call.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
But I really try to finish the meeting.
Yeah.
So are you happy? And even if they're so happy and giddy, it could be the next day they go, I've been thinking.
Looking at my photos.
I've been thinking, what if, we go with a whole new color palette?
My favorite is that I've been thinking, and I have to say, who have you been talking to?
Yes.
Who have you been showing? Because when it was just us girlfriends in the room, we were in love.
It, yeah.
And you left, and
So
some bird
true.
came in your ear. And who is that bird?
Right.
And what is their taste? And why do we listen to what they have to say?
But I do listen, and I let it stew for a minute.
Yeah.
And typically we end up right back
where you were. But there's just a moment of second guessing.
They've hired us to do what they want.
Correct.
There are some event planners out there that will not do what the client wants because they have a look, style, color.
And that's it.
That's their vibe.
That's their brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And respect it. Good for them that they get away with that.
100%.
But I honestly, and I'm humble pie, but I feel I can do any look.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to change it up.
You've been pushing the boundaries. You did a wedding, I think at maybe the Beverly Hills Hotel with the fabric entrance.
Oh, yes.
That was, I just I kept just staring. And this was like a year or so ago before fabric has been, now fabric is
weird.
is everywhere.
Yes.
And so for people who can't access you for their wedding, either you're booked, you're out of their budget, you offer two different ways. I mean, many ways. They can follow you on Instagram for inspiration, but you have a wedding planning book. You have many books, but you have a wedding planning book.
I have the wedding book, which has been out for a
while
long
now.
time. And but it took 5 years, and we
for
updated
you to write it.
Yes.
Wow.
And we've updated it once, like with Ubers and like all that kind of stuff.
All the things that have changed.
And it's still, I get lovely notes.
Yeah.
And sometimes people post it. And, and then I have an organizer book for keepsake
Got
stuff. But those two are important. And then I did a master class.
I was just going to say,
Who knew?
I mean, but who else was going to do it?
I think I must have been complete. They asked me once, and I go, oh, my God, I'm so busy.
You said no. Yeah.
But then they asked again, I go, I think I should do this.
Yes,
But
you have so
laugh.
many years of experience. Weddings-ish is presented by Lovebird. Recently engaged? Share your proposal story on lovebird.com, where engaged couples can manage every communication with their wedding guests with elegance, grace, and ease. Lovebird will select couples with the best proposal stories for a chance to win a free honeymoon. Bonus, featured couples will also unlock free access to lovebird.com, where they can create a premium wedding website, send elegant digital stationery, collect RSVPs, share day of announcements, and make an exquisite first impression for their wedding day. Terms and conditions apply. Lovebird, elegant wedding guest communication, simplified. Share your proposal story at lovebird.com/weddingsish. That's lovebird.com/weddingsish. I think sometimes with large-scale weddings or any wedding planning, people get a little out of control or they lose focus and they forget that at the end of the day, no matter how much money you spend, what dress or suit or tie or ring you wear, it's about the love in the room.
It's about the love.
It's about the love.
If they could just understand it, brides they become so stressed. And I always look at them and say, you don't have to worry, because on the day of your wedding, there's this very special aura that a bride receives. And I truly believe that it's from an upper world. And they're always so beautiful. Yeah. It's not about the makeup. It's not about the hair. It's not even about the dress.
What?
Yes. I mean, I make sure.
Yes, that part is taken care of.
No, but I make sure, I honestly do, to put all my love in these dresses because I know that they serve my brides. And a higher purpose, of course. So much stress before a wedding, because after all, you are changing your life.
Your whole life.
Your whole life significantly.
Yep.
You're becoming two.
Yep.
Instead of being one. One.
Yeah.
And so from my experience, it's always about the bride. And for some reason, brides always open up their heart to me. And they always talk to me about what really bothers them, what's on their mind, what they're going through. And I always find myself giving them the most sincere advice.
Panina.
Mama Panina, fairy godmother of brides.
Fairy godmother. I mean, it's true. You have an essence about you that is warmth. Like, it feels like people can just say anything and everything.
Yes.
You have an aura that is very warm. We have a couple of questions from some fans, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Question, how do you know it's the one?
Let's answer the first question. So I don't think you know that it's the one. It's your heart that knows it's the one.
Okay.
So when you feel that feeling, it's like your heart starts opening up.
Yeah.
And you feel happy. You feel that you love what you're seeing in the mirror. You love yourself in this dress.
Yeah.
You should take a moment and you should ask yourself, okay, why am I going through this?
Yeah.
Because sometimes brides are so focused on trying as many dresses as possible that they don't let that feeling come up and soak in and say, this is your dress.
Yeah, they're just focused on trying.
Exactly. And sometimes, we get this very often, brides that said yes to a dress and then they come back to reselect. And it's because they didn't really give that feeling the right attention that it needs.
That it needed.
So you'll know it when your heart says it to you, and it says it very, very clearly.
And if you don't get that, just keep trying them on.
Trying them on.
Different designers, different shapes.
Exactly, because sometimes, you see, social media is great, but sometimes it's very confusing.
Yes.
And it brings us to a point where we're never satisfied from anything. And so you see other women wearing certain dresses and you say, wow, I want to look like this.
Yes.
But I look different.
100%. I'm not
like
6'3".
No.
And 120 pounds. Yeah.
Exactly. And I might look much better in something else.
In a different style.
Or fall in love with myself in a different style or shape.
Yeah.
So just let yourself try on whatever, dresses or silhouettes that you never thought you would.
Yeah. I mean, you're in the room, you might as well have fun and experiment with what it is you want to try on.
Exactly. Try on a variety of different shapes because going for one thing, you might end up finding a dress, but you could have found something you would
even
look
better.
Even better.
That you'd light up even more.
Exactly. Brides that come for fitted dresses, all of a sudden they're in a ball gown and they're like falling in love with themselves.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then her second question is, what makes a gown fresh and what makes it dated?
So I don't understand this question. Fresh and dated.
So I guess like cool or uncool or new versus old, maybe. Like what makes it something, I feel like maybe in the world of bridal there's trends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like lace was really big and then being really clean and minimal and then really blingy and then long, short, trendy versus untrendy maybe.
So I believe that there are no trends in bridal, that everything is trendy.
Yeah.
It really depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I bring back some iconic dresses from 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I bring them back to my collections.
Yep.
And they do as well, if not better, as they did in the past.
Yeah.
Which means that nothing really gets old in bridal.
Because what's old is new.
Exactly.
What's new is old.
You look at Grace Kelly's dress.
Yep.
I have a lot of dresses that are in that vibe.
Inspired in that.
Inspired by, I love her. I think she was one of the most beautiful princesses in the world. And it's still, it's still doing crazy.
Yeah,
you
it's
see
a
a
popular
bride.
dress.
Exactly. And I say to the bride, you look like Grace Kelly.
Yeah.
And it's a huge
What a compliment. Of
Yes,
course.
Yes.
I mean, you would feel so stunning.
Absolutely.
I love that.
I don't think that bridal wedding dresses get old.
Yeah.
It all depends on how you feel in them.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's about your
Yeah,
feeling.
it's about your feeling.
I love that.
3 million.
Not that there has to be, but are there wedding plans?
There were some wedding plans in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think when you're really hyped up and excited and in that moment, you just want to be in the fantasy of it.
Of course.
And as a planner or
Yes.
orchestrator of all things gorgeous,
100%.
you just
Ooh,
want
I like that. Wait, is that my new title? Orchestrator of
Yeah.
all things gorgeous.
or architect of all things gorgeous.
Ooh.
Yes, I love it.
I love this branding session.
Vibe architect.
Ooh, vibe
Right.
architect.
I
Because
like
it
that.
is. It is a vibe.
It is. But yeah, we were exploring, and on our podcast too, we were exploring, like a upscale Burning Man wedding outside,
Which
disco,
tracks 100%.
crazy, and then the COVID happened, and so many couples, as you know, it was just devastating because obviously it was a horrible time. But I think too, when you're looking forward to something and you don't feel like you have much control over when it's actually going to happen, or do you have to compromise and just still have the wedding and cut down on guests and money, and it's really a bummer.
It's complex, yeah.
Yeah, and so then the lawsuit goes, and what's really unique now is we've kind of Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russeled the situation in that we feel very married, even though we're not.
You act very married for whatever that, you know what I mean? Like,
he feels like my husband.
in my mind, it just you two and the dog. Like, it's
That's us.
it's the
The
trinity
trio.
that is. The trio, the trinity, like
the three best
the
friends.
three of you. Like, I feel like that's what it is. You know what I mean?
And we've really embraced this period. And again, being very lucky to not feel rushed to get married, especially with a lawsuit, especially with my financial situation and all I've been through with a lawsuit. It is not cheap, and we're just not in a place to really do that right now. And hopefully someday we will be.
And I think it's very interesting that you're being so transparent about it, because the fantasy of a wedding versus the reality of a wedding are two very different things, I think emotionally and I think financially. And a lot of people don't want to talk about the money, but weddings are expensive. Like,
So
they
expensive.
add up quickly.
Yep.
The more people you have, the more money it is. And then you have the emotional component. You know what I mean? Like, if you two feel solid, there isn't a need for a wedding. You know what I mean? But for some people, it's all they've dreamed about. And they put all their eggs in that basket. And I hope it does what it needs to do for them. But at the end of the day, you find someone you love, you build a life together. That's so special.
Yeah.
And if you can have the wedding of your dreams, whatever that is, like, that's the icing on the cake, I feel like.
Totally agree. And it's important to put the blinders up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because everybody, is entitled to their opinion and has opinions. And even if it's with good intentions, feeling pressured to do something or feeling the rush of time or whatever it may be, it's so good to have to take inventory on your relationship. And what's interesting is that we do feel solid right now in each other, while there's parts of our life that are just like hanging by a tiny thread.
Yes.
It's you kind of appreciate the duality of it,
Mm-hmm.
and you choose to focus your energy on the things that are good and working, and all that other stuff exists, and two things can be true.
Yep.
But where the focus goes, energy flows.
Created my aesthetic and my vibe was just like not more is more, but like
abundance
and opulent assortment of flowers. But then that doesn't really consider margin.
The dollars and cents don't add up there. Yeah, but this is a common theme. I have a lot of friends who are florists, and it's the same thing. Like, they'll bid on a job for me, and then they'll be like, I just spent all the money. And I was like, you can't do that again. Like, you have to have some. But, they go to the flower market and they fall in love with the beautiful flowers that are, of course, the most expensive flowers. And it's hard.
It's a tricky balance because I think people's expectations versus people's perception of value are just usually so incongruent.
Yes.
And the thing that always I find challenging with weddings, like I will not do your wedding unless you have a wedding planner and a wedding planner that really understands what it takes to do that, because it's generally speaking, the first time somebody's ever spent that kind of money on something that is so ephemeral.
Yep.
And so if you're looking at a $20,000 price tag for flowers, but your guest count is 175, you're like, from people that are in the industry,
it should be more than enough.
That's base level. Like, there's a lot, especially if, people come in with these Barbie dream house.
Flowers everywhere.
Like I remember back in the day when Raf Simons did that show with Dior where all the rooms were covered head to floor to ceiling in blooms. And so people would often send me that as inspiration. And I'm like, that's a multi-million-dollar installation.
Period.
And you have $30K.
Yeah.
And that is not me scoffing.
No, because $30K is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Yes.
But it is not a room full of flowers.
Correct. Yeah.
And so I think, and because, now the flower industry is very saturated and it's like an easy place it's kind of like the 90s version of jewelry designers to me. Where
anybody can do it.
Yeah, anybody can do it. Anybody can kind of get access to the materials and the stuff. And so, but nobody really talks about like, what is a proper markup? Correct. What is a proper thing? And so nobody has a general standard.
Yeah.
And the consumer is just like, well, I'm just going to go with the cheapest bid.
Yes.
Not understanding that
what that means.
At all.
Yeah. And whether they're going to get silk flowers or fresh flowers or old flowers.
Or experience.
Or
like
experience.
Stress.
Yes.
Or people really don't, I think it's very hard for people to really consider that their time is valuable. And so most people, including myself sometimes, don't value our own time.
Yeah.
And so then we don't value your time.
Correct.
And as a result, it's like, oh, people will pay top dollar for flowers.
Yeah.
But the flowers is kind of like the cheapest part of this whole
Labor
operation.
is real. Yeah.
It's the most expensive part of our business.
Yep.
It's everybody wants to pay next to nothing for everything.
Yep.
But wants to be paid top dollar for anything they do.
100%.
And so that makes no sense.
Planning a big event? Whether it's your wedding day, prom, or another unforgettable milestone, Friar Tuck's has been styling people for life's most important moments for over 50 years. With their newly revamped website, you can buy or rent a sleek suit or timeless tuxedo. Plus, they've just launched a fresh women's suit line and new styles in trending colors. And don't miss out on the Michael Kors Performance Collection, designed to keep you looking sharp and feeling comfortable. Friar Tuck's is a family-owned business, and with over 10,000 five-star reviews, they're proud to be a part of your most important moments. Ready to style your next event? Visit friartux.com to build your head-to-toe look or schedule a virtual appointment with an expert stylist. Plus, you can also stop by one of their stores in Southern California or Las Vegas, Nevada. Whether you're renting or buying, Friar Tuck's has the perfect fit for everyone, from standard to big and tall sizes. Friar Tuck's, styling life's most important moments. Check them out today at friartux.com. So you had your wonderful welcome dinner. You'd City Hall.
Correct.
And then your welcome dinner, which was gorgeous. And that was pretty like white, monochromatically white and black.
Yeah. Well, I wanted it to be urban and have like a very sexy vibe.
Yeah, because that was your city and then your wedding was in Westchester.
Exactly.
Got it.
So, and I had worked with the most fabulous florist, Zeke Westerman.
I love Zeke.
I love Zeke.
I've known Zeke for many years.
Oh my God. We finish each other's sentences.
I love that. You have a similar energy, actually.
I love him.
A little bit like calm.
He's the next big thing.
He is already.
For sure. I mean, but he's like about to really explode. So I explained the vibe I was going for to Zeke. And I wanted to do something different. So, and I explained that I was, in the Iberian Peninsula where Spain and Portugal are, you have a lot of candles with the melted wax. Yeah. And I told him I want that kind of sexy, warm vibe.
Yep.
So what he did was he bleached amaranthus.
To look like wax.
But it was all flora.
Yeah.
And then I knew I wanted to use those Amari inspired plates. And then I did menus inspired by that border. And I wrote, embroidered everyone's name on.
You did that.
Of course.
You hand wrote their names and then embroidered them for all the guests.
Well, we was all a small group. So our wedding was 34 and our rehearsal dinner was 10 or 12.
Yeah.
So we could really do a lot of details because it wasn't a huge 500
It's like what they call a micro wedding. So you could really invest all of your energy into those 12 or 30 people.
Of course.
In a big way. Also, you love to do this.
Exactly.
But how did you, as a designer who's also getting married,
right.
How did you hone in on what you wanted versus all the beautiful things that you've made and maybe the expectations or the pressure? Like, how did you hone in on your aesthetic for your wedding? Not different from what you do for other people.
Well, if we're jumping to the wedding, which it sounds like we are.
Yes.
I started with color palette.
Okay.
And then I look at so many things all the time.
Yeah.
I never get tired and looking in film and books and, art and just looking for inspiration everywhere, as I'm sure you do. And I started, and I'm, again, very sensitive to color. And I wanted a color palette that was colorful, but not bright.
Sure.
So that was my first task. And that color inspiration came from a pile of ribbons I had seen together. And I felt that color palette was all, evergreen and a little feminine, but just perfect.
Yeah.
So then I thought about things that I was, again, intellectually interested in doing. So the custom toile, the cakes, all the place settings, like, just things that I had thought of earlier.
Yep.
And could finally do for the people I love most.
The Stephanie touches. Handmade Stephanie touches.
Of course.
Did you do your own wedding cake?
So there
you
were
had 3
many.
cakes. Also, this was like, I fell in love with a 28-foot cake. We just have to, I can't wait any longer. So you made a 28-foot cake, which ran the whole span of your table for your wedding.
So now we're on the wedding. Yes. Okay. So I had creative involvement in all of the cakes.
Of course.
I did not bake every single thing.
Sure.
So the one I fully baked was the hydrangea bomb cake.
Okay.
And again, that is inspired by our love story and our love for hydrangeas.
He gave you hydrangeas on the first date.
And our summer love.
Yep.
And, this was a motif throughout the wedding, the hydrangeas. So that is my chocolate cake recipe. It is in the book.
Yep.
And it is so delicious.
Oh my God,
and then
we
didn't have fondant. We did all the petals with my buttercream frosting.
Wait, those are buttercream?
Yes. So it wasn't didn't have a bad mouthfeel.
I 100% assumed they were fondant.
No.
You can make flowers like that out of
I did a TikTok about it, yes.
I will immediately go and watch.
Oh my God, and
I don't
frosting.
like fondant. I hate saying that, and I love cake people, but it's not for me. So I just assumed that was fondant, but that's buttercream.
That's the benefit of doing things homemade.
Wow.
Is you get to make every creative decision. Because again, I was doing this for my family.
Sure.
And my most loved.
The utmost love you poured into this because it is your love and it is your family.
So that was fully homemade.
Okay.
The 28-foot cake, I wanted to do it at home. We didn't have the oven or freezer or refrigerator space to do it.
Make that.
So we did it off-site at a place called Flower Power.
Okay.
And they're credited in the Vogue article. Yeah. And then we assembled it at home.
Got it.
And
frosted it at home.
Correct.
And then Zeke did the flowers.
Exactly.
And they were different flavors, I understand.
Yes.
Did anyone dive in? Or was it people a little more demure?
People left with such a sugar high. And of course, we sent everyone home with a full box of cakes.
Well, I have to be clear. You had the 28-foot cake.
Right.
Then you had mini cakes served on your beautiful flower chargers and plates.
Right.
Then you had a beautiful toile wedding cake that matched your toile linens.
Right.
And toile napkins and toile
aprons and lollies
all
and
of it,
everything.
Lollies. And then you had your flower cake.
Right.
You had 4 wedding cakes.
Right. And but also we had that whole dessert table. So the
Viennese, donut tower.
Right.
Give me that.
Oh my God. Well, David, a California boy like you, loves donuts.
It's a thing in California. There's a ton of mom and pop, small, Winchell's donuts,
amazing.
It's
the best donuts in the country are in California. So we didn't I was inspired by croquembouche.
Yes, but you used donuts. It's like a high-low.
But that was fully made. that we got those munchkins from a donut place in Westchester that we love called Ducks, but we did that at home.
Yeah. I mean, that's wild. So you worked your whole wedding day?
No. I worked up until I got my hair and makeup done. Okay. But I have a catering team.
That's true, that you trust, that you know.
That while I was getting my hair and makeup done, everyone was texting me.
Got it.
And I think something that other brides who are in the industry and want to enjoy their wedding day can do that I did, and maybe you'll do this for yours, but I made such a thorough deck in advance of the wedding.
So everything was crystal clear.
Everything was crystal clear. And then also all the shots I wanted on, in each moment. For
your photographer,
yes.
You made a shot list for her. Which did she love or hate?
Sequentially, loved.
Okay. Everyone's different, how they feel about.
Toi is so easy to work with.
She's the best.
And everyone was happy. We had the best team of vendors. But once I was made up and, blow dried, I really just wanted to be a bride. Correct.
And did you actually turn? I'm really selfishly asking because you're me.
Totally.
A few months, a year before. Did you literally actually turn off and just enjoy?
Totally. And the truth is, all the details of our wedding were so spectacular, but the substance of the vows and the toast and the energy was superior to all the details. I was present for every single second.
Yeah, I love that. I love hearing that it's possible.
Weddings-ish.
Well, that's it for today, and wasn't that fun? Don't forget to send your questions. Again, any questions, send them our way to hi@jovemeyer.com, and maybe I will answer them on air. If you can, send a voice memo. I love to hear your voice. This episode is presented by Friar Tucks. For over 50 years, Friar Tucks has been helping people look their best for life's most important moments. Shop their stylish suits and tuxedos for rent or purchase, and explore their new women's suit line. Visit friartux.com to learn more. Weddings-ish is presented by Lovebird, a better way for engaged couples to communicate with their wedding guests. Make an exquisite first impression and manage every touch point in one place. Share your proposal story on Lovebird for a chance to win a free honeymoon. Learn more at lovebird.com/weddings-ish.
Weddings-ish.
Thank you again for listening or watching Weddings-ish with Jove. If you liked today's episode, please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. We're also super grateful to Mel Flannery for the music on the podcast. She created, produced, and designed all of the music. And don't forget, you can watch Weddings-ish with Jove on Love Stories TV, YouTube, or streaming TV channel. Visit lovestoriestv.com/live for the list of streaming apps.
Weddings-ish.